Shalom, shalom. So Abraham is called the father of many nations, right? The father of many nations. So let's look at Abraham and Keturah. We always look at Abraham and his first wife, but let's look at Abraham and Keturah, his second wife. Abraham and Keturah, the African. According to the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, Ham, the youngest son of Noah, probably born about 96 years before the flood, and one of the 8 persons that lived through the flood, he became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, the Ethiopians, the Libyans, and the Canaanites. Okay, we can see this in Genesis 10:6-20. So Ham was the father of the African nations, but not the so-called Negroes. The Negroes come from the line of Shem. But in the scriptures and the book of Jasher, we see after Sarah died, Abraham took a wife named Keturah, who was from the land of Canaan. She was a Canaanite. She was of dark-skinned nature because the Canaanites are the descendants of Ham. Abraham has 6 sons with this African woman, but because seed is determined by the father, they are also Shemites mixed with African due to their mom. Hallelujah. The writer made a specific point to let us know that Keturah was a Canaanite woman. She was an African woman, and that she bore children to Abraham the Hebrew. The writer didn't want there to be any confusion as to whom he was referring to. Genesis 17 says this, "And when Abram was 90 years old and 9, Yahweh appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am the Almighty Yahweh, walk before me and be thou perfect. And I will make my covenant between me and thee, and I will multiply thee and will multiply thee exceedingly. And Abraham fell on his face, and Yahweh talked with him, saying, As for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations. Neither shall thy name any more be Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham, for a father of many nations have I made thee. And I will make thee exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee and thy seed after thee in the generations, for an everlasting covenant to be an Elohim unto thee and to thy seed after thee. Abraham is the father of many nations, and every son of Abraham can claim the seed of Abraham. But the main covenant came through Isaac unto Jacob and his 12 sons, who made up the 12 tribes of Israel. You see, Abraham sent them away with the blessing, but the covenant was to come through his son Isaac. So the children of Abraham's son Midian went east to the land of Cush. Cush is Ethiopia, and the land that is east of Ethiopia is Somalia. Eritrea is north. Djibouti is to the northeast. Kenya is to the south, and South Sudan and Sudan to the west. Are you starting to get the picture? Abraham married Hagar, the Egyptian princess, who became Sarah's servant. Abraham and Hagar had Ishmael. Now let's look back at the dictionary definition of Ham again. So part 2. Abraham married Hagar, the Egyptian princess, who became Sarah's servant. Abraham and Hagar had Ishmael. Now let's look back at the dictionary definition of Ham again. Ham, the youngest son of Noah, probably born about 96 years before the flood, and one of the 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, the Ethiopians, the Libyans, and the Canaanites. Genesis 10:6-20. So the original Egyptians were also of a dark-skinned nature. In the book of Jasher, it says Ishmael took a wife from the land of Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim is Hebrew for Egypt. So Ishmael took an African wife and had children by her. Ishmael had 4 sons with the African woman from Egypt and 1 daughter, and 8 more sons with his African wife from Canaan. Okay, Ishmael's nephew Jacob will go on to have 12 sons and 1 daughter. Do you get the picture? Do you get the picture now? How Abraham's seed was spreading out, and he was becoming the father of many nations. Shalom, shalom.